Hello, I'm Travis. In this insight, I would like to talk about grandfathering or grandfather clause. Now, it's quite a nuanced discussion that we often get around companies that have legacy sites. It talks about what their responsibilities are in relation to legacy sites, and they go, "Oh, well, our particular site was built back in the '70s. What do we do? How do we show that we're compliant, and what can we do from there?" So, when we talk about hazardous areas, we need to be able to define what we're talking about when we're discussing grandfathering clauses. So, within the National Construction Code or the Building Code of Australia, it's now NCC instead of BCA. But for this particular insight, the terms will be interchangeable. When you have a legacy site, and this is just an oversimplification for it, when you have a particular legacy site, anything to do with the construction principles of that particular site, if you're maintaining them to the standard of that current year that it was constructed, then you're all good. Now, notice how it spoke about the construction elements. So, to define that, if you have a building and its construction elements, so we're talking about walls, we're talking about ceilings, we're talking about building materials, we're talking about the use of that particular area. We're not talking about the hazardous area implications or the hazardous area installation. We're just talking about the building, because hazardous area installations, that's under the requirements of 60,079. We're not talking about the actual building. So when we're talking about grandfathering, we're talking about the building. It doesn't apply to hazardous areas. And the reason that it doesn't apply, and this is edition 6, so this is the new edition that's coming out. If we go to documentation in section 5, section 5, it's here, installation shall comply with the relevant equipment certificates, as well as with this document or any other requirements specific to the plan on which the installation takes place. To maintain a record of compliance, verification dossier shall be prepared for every installation. For any circumstances which require an additional assessment relevant to explosion protection, the result of this assessment shall be documented in the verification dossier. The verification dossier shall be kept up to date throughout the operating lifetime of the installation. Plant changes shall be recorded. So if you look at it and you say you have an old existing site, the question the regulator will ask is, okay, so have you had any major capital upgrades during that time? If yes, then what have you done with that particular installation? Because every time that you do a capital upgrade to a plant, the requirements are that that portion of the plant that's been upgraded needs to be built to the current standards at the time of construction. Now, we're talking generally here. So, for example, if a new standard comes out and you're halfway through construction, depending on the state or territory that you're in, there is particular mechanisms that will give you dispensation from that requirement. So in some states or territories, the standard that is at the time of date when construction commenced is different to this. If that's the case, then that's what it gets built to. If there is in other states, say for example you start building in 2020 and the project goes over 4 years, and halfway through a new standard comes out, some will say, well, you have dispensation because otherwise you'll have to go and rework it. Other states and territories will go, okay, well, you need to provide us with a dispensation request, which you go to them and you say, listen, we're doing this construction. It went over 4 years. This is what we've done. If we do this, it's going to cost X, Y, Z. This is how we've been able to mitigate those particular changes. If they are like an impact to the overall construction, and then the regulator will toss that up and they'll make a determination based on your request. But when we talk about hazardous areas, we're talking about the hazardous area installation, and there is no grandfathering portion to it. The building principle, so the building, the area in which it's housed, as long as you're maintaining it to the required standards from the NCC or the BCA relating to the actual construction principles of that area, that can be grandfathered. But the actual hazardous area installation, because you have an explosive atmosphere, you need to make sure that the verification dossier is up to date because it's a living document. So all of your equipment, you need to be making sure that they've been put into an inspection routine or an inspection regime, and you have an inspection schedule that detailed what devices you have, what equipment you have, where it's located, what the grade of the inspection supervision is. So you're detailing when it is, how it occurs, the frequency and the grade of it, who's doing that, what their qualifications are, so that you're validating the protection equipment and the protection techniques to make sure that they're suitable for their application. So that's why it's a living document. To put it in really concise essence, because you're validating a safety system, you want to make sure that the safety system will work when it needs to be relied upon. If you're driving down the street, you want to make sure that your airbags will work if an incident occurs. That's what we're doing when we're putting equipment from our hazardous area installation into an inspection schedule. We're validating that they're fit for purpose. We're validating that they will mitigate the ignition source from entering in and from potentially creating an explosive atmosphere. So that's in its essence. So that's about grandfathering clause. If you want to learn more, scroll down, click on the link below, schedule a time with one of our team. We'll be more than happy to walk you through this. Have a good one. Bye.